Hey, everybody.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to this episode of The Night Bite.
Yeah, Thursday again.
It comes around quick. Just this 1 week ago, we were talking about it was going to be Wisconsin Free Fishing Weekend coming up. And so, we're looking for some feedback on how that went. We have some new signs on our screen. Whoops. Wherever I'm pointing the camera, it's backwards. So I felt like I was kind of behind it. So I'm adjusting here. But if you did Free Fishing Weekend or anything like that, let us know how that's going. Also, I normally have a calendar in front of me where I talk about upcoming events. And to be honest, I just left that at work. So, we're here to talk about, there's going to be an Ice Junkies meet and greet. So we'll get to that. That's going to be a really great time. Otherwise, again, let us know what events are coming up because we would love to share that out with people. So
yeah, absolutely.
To everybody saying hello to all of you, Ryan, Adam, John, Chris, Sean, John, all of you. So, if anyone has questions along the way, otherwise, we're here to really talk fishing and talk Ice Junkies. So let's bring them in. We have here Ryan and Jen Salemi.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How's it going?
Hey.
Oh, it's going pretty good.
So, first question always is, tell us a little bit about yourselves and tell us about Ice Junkies.
Well, my name's Ryan Salemi. I'm the founder of Ice Junkies Outdoors, and I'm a fishing guide on the side, and pretty much I fish 24/7 in any body of water, even my bathtub sometimes.
It's hard when there's noise.
We got to do what we got to do.
And Jen.
Yeah, so I'm Jen, obviously the wife of Ryan. I work in Minnesota. I work in healthcare, so I get to travel over to Minnesota and then come back to Wisconsin every night. And then fill my weekends of whatever I can do when he's out there fishing the tournaments or guiding.
And then you guys really are the magic behind, or some of it behind, Ice Junkies Outdoors. So if there is anybody out there who doesn't know what that is, you guys are a community of like 80,000 people. And it is all about fishing. So, the hard water, pike and panfish and jigs and everything, and even open water.
Yeah, well, tips, tricks, anything to do with fishing and just the community of fishing you can find in that group. And we're big proponents of the group. We're always posting in there. We're part of the promotional staff for you guys. And it's a great community that we get to be a part of.
Yeah, it really is. And it's grown so much over the years. Thinking back, I think it was 7 or 8 years ago we started this thing, and it was meant to be just for a small group of guys from Northern Illinois. And then, we made a couple hoodies, and all of a sudden it took off. And I'm so humbled by all the messages we always get, asking for our apparel, asking for decals. But it goes beyond it. It goes so far beyond merchandise. The friendships we've made, the people that we've met over the years, that's really what it's all about.
Well, and the fish that you've caught.
Well, that too. Part of that. We like to think we can catch some fish here and there.
And then, Emily, I also think you just hit the nail on the head when you said, some of behind the scenes, because I really want to give a shout out. Not only do we have a great promotional staff, but our moderators on the page are absolutely amazing. And I may be biased, but I think they are the best. We really try hard to have a family-friendly, really positive atmosphere and just kind of zero tolerance for any negativity. And they are on top of it. And I don't think any way we could ever repay them for helping build this.
No, that's a really hard job to do. Like you said, 80,000. I think we're at 82,000 now. That's a lot of folks out there to monitor and make sure they're all behaving. But I think for the most part, our team does a fantastic job doing that. And I like to think that we're one of the most family-friendly pages out there, and we like to keep it that way.
Well, and even two kind of specific things about that. The first one, sometimes people hear family-friendly, and they don't realize that still means fun. Sometimes you feel like it means filtered or something like that, and that's not at all what this is, because, again, it goes back to that community, and it comes back to fishing. So it's really, really nice when we can all kind of speak the same language and kind of find common ground between, 82,000 people. That's pretty amazing.
Right. And you have 82,000 and you've got anglers from the beginning. They just picked up an ice fishing pole to professional anglers that get paid to do it for a living. That's what makes it fun for me, to see the interaction between both on both ends of the spectrum.
And that's actually a perfect segue to the other thing that I was going to bring up. It's like you knew I was going to say this. There are people all throughout that spectrum, but I think a lot of times people look at Ice Junkies and they look at the moderators and admins and they assume that must be a paid job, because certainly going through 82,000 people, the comments, the posts, all of it, the events coming up, there's so much time and effort that goes into that. People just make a lot of assumptions. So please clear that up for us.
Yeah, everybody that is on our admin team and our promotional field staff, they are doing that, from the kindness of their heart. The only thing that we can give them, we give them discounts, of course, on our apparel. And we like to have a get together or two, here once or twice a year, but they do not get paid. It is all voluntary. They're doing it because they love fishing, period.
Well, and that is exactly the core of IJO. It is caring for that community and, all the people who've maybe never been a part of it. And to me and us specifically, that's something that, is really, really inspiring is, getting those people, the things that they don't know about the fishing world, the products that they don't know, the information, to spread that so that people can all be successful and having fun when they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, it's a great platform. Anything, that you can think of, open water and ice fishing, it'll get answered on Ice Junkies Outdoors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, kind of getting to the fishing, that is the other really cool thing about it is the number of fish pictures that do get posted. And Ryan, I got to say, you rank right at the top with pictures that I love to run into because sometimes it is really just unreal. So tell us a little bit about what area you're in and how fishing is up there.
Well, I'll start off by telling you, I'm born and raised in Northern Illinois, but I was fortunate enough to have a pair of grandparents that took me on their Northern Wisconsin vacations every year, a couple times a year. And I immediately fell in love with the Northwoods of Wisconsin. And I knew one day that I was going to live here. So we're here now, and we're in Comstock, Wisconsin. That's up in northwestern Wisconsin, Polk County. And we are blessed to be surrounded by a lot of pothole lakes that have some fantastic pan fishing.
Yeah, it's really, truly amazing just to follow kind of what you do. And, we'll get back to that in a minute because Jen, Ryan's not the only one who loves fishing. And you kind of have a whole nother section of Ice Junkies, do we call it? A whole nother group, Ice Wife. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we call it the sister page. I grew up in the same area that Ryan did in Illinois, and I would always go fishing with my dad growing up. And I would say, just going through college and stuff, I got away from fishing, but then obviously hooking up with this guy kind of just, relit the passion of it. And I really enjoy being on the boat or the ice with him. And, we really made some close friends that Ryan would fish with in Illinois. And so I became, close with the wives, and we would just kind of joke and call ourselves the Ice Wives. And just the ideas in my head and just thinking I think over the past couple of years, the industry's done a really great job to include women in fishing, but I still think it's catered towards men and they still need to catch up. And to be completely honest, as a female, on any of these fishing pages, you post a picture of you and your fish and you're going to automatically get 10 more likes than any other guy, but you're also going to get followed by those messages in your inbox that one guy ruins it for all of them, right? You just put that creepy guy message. So I started the Ice Wife Facebook page, and it's ladies only. We don't let any guys in there. It's a nice, just safe space for us to ask questions and talk about gear. There's beginners in there. There's wives in there that their husbands fish, but they don't fish. Maybe they want to try it, or maybe what do you do when your husband's on the ice, or just things like that, just to kind of talk just us ladies, no guys butting in, and it's been super fun so far. I'm super excited.
With that being said, that doesn't mean that ladies are not welcome in Ice Junkies, because certainly, yeah, just as much as everybody. But I have to chime in. There's even just sometimes where I think about the way that I do my hair going on the ice, because the amount of wind that whips through sometimes damages my hair. And that's something I would love to talk about with you and other women, but I'm sure that like Ice Junkies with, so many dudes. I mean, that's the kind of post that sometimes will get overlooked just because, like we're talking about, there's fish pictures and tip up talk and all of that stuff. So, to give it kind of a place to live and to flourish and have people be a part of that community as well, is a really awesome thing.
I agree. I think last time I looked on Ice Junkies, it's maybe about 20-25% women. So again, yeah, like to ask that question and maybe get the answer that you're looking for from a female is maybe going to be tough, but we still love it. And the guys love seeing the fish and just interacting and, tips and tricks.
Well, and I've definitely noticed an influx of female anglers, even the last 2 years. It's really amazing at how much the sport has opened up to that side, and not so much that it was never welcomed, but like you said, the ice fishing world has had to catch up to the times and make things that are fitted for ladies. And I think that's getting to be more of a normal thing. And it's been really awesome to see the whole thing kind of blow up. So
yeah, it really has.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can even tell an ice suit, like thinking my first ice suit that I bought, like catered to a female, and I've had 3 now, I think, and just how much they have changed over the past years because they're learning.
Right.
That's a good point. Yep.
So, for those of us who are Ice Junkies fans, and for those of you who may have wives or girlfriends, this is a perfect time to invite them to the Ice Wife group, send them over that way, because even if they're not fishermen yet, this might be the perfect time to kick that off. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody, yeah.
Fiancés count as ice wives.
Yeah. Gosh, I imagine that you guys will have a bunch of like wedding fishing posts. I could probably add that. That's kind of fun.
I can see it now.
With that being said, kind of an all-inclusive event coming up is the meet and greet on the 30th. So Ryan, we have a lot of people kind of chatting in the comments, excited for that event. So tell us a little bit about what that day looks like, and as a fisher, when I can get there and what I can do.
Sure. We're super excited to see everybody too. It's been a long year. So it's going to be January 30th, and it's a Saturday. The location is going to be in Siren, Wisconsin, and we're going to be running that event out of the Poorhouse Bar, and the lake is Upper and Lower Clam Lake. So the derby portion will be from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., and we will be there at 6 a.m. trying to get set up. You can start showing up about 6:30, 7 o'clock to start registering for that. And we will let registration run till about 9 a.m. before we cut it off. Ton of great prizes. We've got a Vexlar FL28 this year. We've got a Razor Auger, 2-man clam ice shelter, 2 free lodging vacations at Cedar Roma Lodge in St. Germain, Wisconsin, guided fishing trips with me and a couple other guides, a Mr. Heater, all kinds of stuff, plastics, custom rods, Icewell live well,
Sullivan tip
downs, yeah, you name it, it's going to be there. It's going to be a great event, and I cannot wait to see everybody because I have not seen you guys. It's been more than 6 months.
Yeah,
crazy.
It is crazy. And then there always tends to be kind of a little bit of a focus on the youth that can attend the event. So do you have something going on with that?
Yes. So we're going to have guys out giving demonstrations on the ice for all the youth. All youth are free. 18 years of age and up, it's $20 to enter the derby. But if you're under the age of 18, it's free. So,
that's awesome.
Our guys love to teach and educate because we've learned that the youth is our future, and we're investing in our future. We've done enough to kind of screw things up, so we're investing in our youth to try to fix and right the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where all of our donations are going.
That's awesome. Well, and with that being said, that's a really great point, because these events do tend to, make a decent amount of money. And we were talking about how Ice Junkie staff are not necessarily paid. So can you tell us, where does that money go?
So 100% of the proceeds are going to area high school fishing programs throughout the Midwest. Both, or I should say all, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Northern Illinois, Iowa, and Michigan will be receiving donation money for their high school fishing programs.
That's awesome.
That is really awesome. That is really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on with the high school teams these days, like you're saying, to get these youth involved. So to provide a place where it's a fun way to do that. I'm definitely really excited to be there. And actually, tell us a little bit about how the tournament will run.
So the tournament, like I said, it'll start at 8 a.m. and we're giving out prizes for the biggest bluegill, crappie, perch, walleye, and northern pike. We'll have 2 hub shacks set up out on the ice. So when you catch a fish and you think it's worthy of registering, you're going to want to take that fish to our register house, and they'll take down your name, the length, and the time that was caught. And at the end of the day, there's going to be prizes for all big fish.
So bringing a fish to the tent, make sure that you do plan then on keeping that fish, or maybe bring a bucket, because I've definitely seen people try to run holding the fish away, and that can get a little bit hectic.
Well, I think this year too, we're gonna have drilled holes around that register shack. So if you want to let the fish go, you can let them go right away.
Awesome. And then, definitely bring your bucket to bring them on over that way. Yeah. And that'll be a really good time. I can't wait to see the kind of fish that are registered. Any details that I'm forgetting to ask about that you can think of?
Yeah, there's going to be, so after the tournament portion and after we do all the raffles at the poorhouse, we're going to have live music. So it's a chance to get a bite to eat, have a few, adult cocktails, and listen to some good music.
Awesome. And then I've heard some good things about this music, so I'm actually really excited for that.
Yes, it's Charlie Darmer. If you don't know his music, he's got an album called Drillin' Holes. You can find it on Spotify and YouTube. It's good stuff. It's right up our alley.
Well, and it's about fishing, right?
It's about ice fishing, yeah.
Awesome. Well, it does not get better than that. So for people who haven't necessarily fished in the area that you're in, we were talking, you do a lot of fishing in that area. So you do have the guide service. So tell us a little bit about your guide service and how people find you. Yeah.
So strictly panfish. That's what I cater to. And we chase big trophy bluegills, and we'll do crappies too. If you want to throw a tip up out while we're fishing, that's fine too. But I'm here to teach you how to fish plastics and how to chase big panfish. We don't do a lot of sitting in the shack. So, if you're looking for a heated house, we have them. But I encourage all my clients to get out and hole hop, because that's how we get the big ones. I've got a few weekdays left. I'm pretty booked up, but you can inquire about my days that I have available at rhinoeatsleepfish34.com or at gmail.com. And we put you on fish. I think 3 or 4 of my last clients, we've put their biggest bluegill on the ice for them. We're getting fish up to 11 inches, and that's hard to find, but we get them.
That is hard to find.
I should mention too that all those big fish get released. If you catch a trophy and you want to put it on the wall, I will make an exception for that, but we encourage catch and release.
Also, shout out to Fedant Taxidermy in Anago, because they're replicas. If you've ever seen them at a show.
Well, check out some of our videos. If you look up Fedant on YouTube or go to our YouTube page, we have two videos with him, and they are just spectacular. You can't
almost
tell
better than a real fish.
Yeah, you can't even tell that they're not real.
No.
And he doesn't do any skin mounts. It's all replicas, and it's awesome.
Ben and his dad do a fantastic job. I don't think I've seen a better replica.
I don't think so either, honestly.
Yeah. With that being said, though, we were talking about the guide service, and one of the things I just have to say about that is I think the last time that we were in a boat with you was, like a really long time ago, but it was open water. And I remember just the time that we spent together, honestly, I learned a lot from you.
Yeah.
So if I never told you that, really, really shout out to, like, catching fish can be a great time, but when you can leave a fishing experience feeling like you gain something from that, like you learn something, that is a huge thing, because then you can then take that home and maybe even be a better angler on your own.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's what I set out to do at the end of the day. I'll let guys keep fish, but I want guys who want to come out and learn how to chase big panfish, because a lot of guys go out and chase walleyes, pike, bass even, but panfish, I feel they don't get a lot of attention, and I want to put them back in the spotlight, because there's nothing better than reeling in an 11-inch, 1/4-pound bluegill through the ice. If that doesn't get your adrenaline pumping, then yeah, don't book with me. Book with somebody else.
Well, and just to reiterate that, I mean, big panfish are, I would say, a trophy panfish. If you're talking perch, bluegills, crappies, they can be just as elusive as muskie. They can be just as hard to catch, or harder, I think, personally, just because their profile, for one thing, makes them hard to put on your locator. And the other thing is they move around so much. They're always running from something, us included. So, just trying to track them down, I think personally, they're probably one of the most difficult things to focus on. And it's great that there is guide services like yours that do focus on that, because learning those skills make you a better angler for every species, and not every species can say that about their techniques.
I couldn't agree more. And we've got it dialed in pretty good. You're going to learn not only how and when to target them, but you're going to learn how to approach them too once you find them. Mm-hmm. And that's something I take pride in. Yeah,
it's awesome.
So with that being said, I don't know if I've ever made it 20 minutes into a conversation before asking this question. What is your ice conditions up there?
So we've got ice ranging anywhere from 10 to 14 inches right now. We got hit last weekend with a slushy, wet snow, and it made for kind of icky travel, but it's been so cold here overnight that everything's firmed back up. So our ice conditions are very good. Our travel conditions are now good once again. I think we got some more snow coming in. I think, Friday or Saturday? They're talking 2 to 4 inches. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But regardless, ice conditions are fantastic.
And then what are your current fishing conditions? Like, do you have a fishing report?
Well, I was just out yesterday, and we had a client out who put 2 10-inch gills topside, 1 10 3/4 too, which was his big. Fishing's been really good, but it's been in windows. That 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. has been really, really good. And then 3:30 p.m. to about dark has been good. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say dead time, but slow time in between. But we do enough chasing crappies in the basin to kind of, keep everybody occupied. But overall, it's been pretty good. We're catching fish.
And so then for people who aren't able to, make it out to your guide service, or maybe if you're booked up by the time that they call you, kind of a bummer. But do you have like a tip or a trick of how you go out there to find fish?
Yeah. So one thing that I do the first thing I teach my clients when I bring them out, I go super light and super small. For these big gills, they can be really finicky at times. So I've gone down and I've used 18 and 19-inch rods with tiny micro reels and 2-pound test. And we're dropping down all the way to 2 and 3 millimeter jigs with a single spike. That has been money this year. Mm-hmm. I know everybody loves fishing plastic, and so do I. But there's a time when these big bluegills, they've seen it all, and they can be super finicky. So dumbing it down to super light and small tackle has put so many big fish on the ice. This year, it's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's an interesting point because this is a funny time of the season where some people are almost, well, I don't want to say halfway through ice season because that sounds kind of sad, but some people are far enough in that we're at that point where the oxygen conditions start to change a little bit. And so the forage changes a little bit. What those fish are attracted to or what they're open to eating is something that's going to start changing. So what you're using in the beginning of the season is not necessarily what's going to work in the middle or even the end. So you're using this really small presentation. Is this where you started the season, or has that been a change for you?
No, we started the season with your typical 4mm tungstens. We're running IJO plastics, money bugs, quiver minnows, and it's as soon as you can drop it down, you're getting bit. But you're right, we are into that point of the year now, and you have to go small. These fish, I noticed the other day, my client started with plastics, and he was getting fish to shoot up off the bottom, and then they would stop. And no matter how still he would keep it, or he would try to be aggressive with it, they were going right back down. So we switched it over to, I think I made him put on a 2mm jig with a single spike, and it sealed the deal. So don't be afraid to go small.
Well, and I think that's another good point, and something I should tell myself is for some of us plastics people, we get so caught up in not buying bait that sometimes we miss out on really something that is an opportunity there. And, to be a well-rounded angler, sometimes you need to be a well-rounded fisherman. That sounds stupid, but, by limiting yourself and just taking away some of those options is sometimes the reason that maybe fish are not attracted.
Right. We're at that point where you've got to do what you want to do if you want to catch fish, and you can't be ashamed to use live bait. You just can't. And come March again, we'll be back into plastics. But right now, for those bigger fish, I'm telling you, live bait.
Absolutely. Let's also really quick while we're here talk jigging cadence, because I think sometimes for people that's a really big deal. Sometimes you start that season really big cadence, or sometimes, this weekend we were out and we were jigging like crazy, but then the next day we went out and they didn't necessarily want that. So how do you decide on how to handle it?
Well, you drill your hole, you put your Vexlar in, and the fish is going to tell you what kind of mood it's in. And lately it's been pretty lethargic. You have your windows when they're feeding aggressively. Let me show you what I've been working with here. So I don't know if this translates on your phone well, but this is a 19-inch lightweight rod, and I'm not a big fan of schoolie reels, but the next best thing is, do you remember the old Eagle Claw micro inlines?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I'm rolling with. 2-pound test. This allows you to naturally present your bait. It gives you the perfect slow fall cadence. You don't even have to move really. Once you get that bait down to the fish, you hold it still, and you let your coffee shakes that you have in the morning. And that really triggers these fish. It's easier if I could show you how it's done on the ice, but I'm trying to explain it the best I can. You don't want to over present your bait to them right now. They don't want that. I'm seeing that with clients when they're sitting here doing, jigging, that fish takes off right away. You want to pull a little bit of line out, let it slowly fall, even stop it. Don't send it shooting down to that red mark right away. Slowly take your line out, let it fall down to the fish, and sit there and just like a nervous coffee shake. And they can't resist that. That's what I've been rolling with.
Because one of the reasons is you're mimicking whatever that bait is. So if you have just like a dead waxy on there, I don't know, like do whatever is attracting to them. Like you're saying, watch that Vexlar and take that cue from there. But if you're using a plastic, if you put on a minnow shape or if you put on a bug shape, think of how that thing would move or interact in the water. And, on an aggressive day or on maybe a really calm day, that might be different.
Right. And another key to the bite in the last 2-3 weeks, when we're using spikes and waxies, you want to crush that waxy or spike, get those juices flowing so they're just dangling in there, hanging off that jig ever so slightly.
Who's the other person that we heard talk about that?
Mr. Brosdahl.
Brian Brosdahl, actually. So we're here talking.
Smart man. I would listen to him.
So we're here though talking with you in, well, not really central Wisconsin, but in Wisconsin, and he's all the way northern Minnesota. That's a really long way away. And so, kind of wherever you are on the ice belt, that might be a little bit different where your ice season is, but some of these different tactics, if they don't work now, maybe that's coming, or, keep track of what other people are doing, because these are things that will definitely work in other places.
That's a great point. I know a lot of my old friends back in Illinois, they just got ice, a few weeks ago. So it's still in that technically first ice stage where they can be aggressive, and they're using plastics and getting bit on just about everything they put down there. But way up here, we're entering that doldrum stage. So things are starting to slow down a little bit.
Well, and like you mentioned before, you're having a good bite in the morning, and then kind of slows down until an afternoon bite. But you said in between, you're running out and basin fishing crappies. Yes. So then, what he's talking about is that when you're focusing on those bigger bluegills, you're not out in the deep water with the rest of the fish. You might be marking a lot of fish out there, but normally smaller bluegills are going to be out deeper with the crappies. Yep. Because they're safe in that school. So even though you find big crappies out there, you're going to find little bluegills. Those bigger bluegills are going to be up towards the inside corners of points. They're going to be up against the weed lines, but out, and especially on transitions. And so when he's talking about, holding your line super still, they're feeding on those bugs that are coming out and going back in, retracting from the sunlight and then coming back out when the sun goes down. And the crappies are more feeding on bait fish. And so, like you said, you can adjust your bait. You might be able to be a little bit more aggressive in the basin because you're trying to attract fish from a further distance. Those bluegills are watching everything that comes in and out of those weeds, and they're just going in there, picking it off and sitting back down. And
that's a great point.
And it's hard. And Ryan's really good at finding those fish doing that, because it's hard to find those fish doing that. The big bluegills aren't moving that much.
No, and we're targeting the water column is usually between 8 and 12, 13 feet is all we're fishing. And we're fishing weed lines. We're fishing inside turns on points. And occasionally we're fishing shallow mud flats. And when I say shallow, 8 to 10 feet. Mm-hmm. That's where those bugs are. That's where those big bluegills are.
Yep. That's awesome.
And then do you ever use a camera to check out what's going on down there?
So we do. Absolutely. When we're tournament fishing, we do especially. And it's pretty wild. Especially, have you ever noticed at night, the sun goes down and you're about an hour in after sunset, the bottom of the water column just fills up with marks on your Vexilar. Those are all water bugs and water fleas. It's pretty amazing to see how that works and plays out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's what those fish are eating.
Mm-hmm. So a question here, actually probably about the January 30th meet and greet. How's the northern pike bite on Clam Lake? I know you said that you're panfish, but hear anything about flags going up?
Oh, yep. Clam Lake is probably one of the best northern pike bites that we have going right now. Clam Lake is overall, it's a pretty shallow lake. 6 to 8 feet is all you're going to find in there, and it's all weeds. So guys are running shiners and walleye suckers about 3 feet under the ice, and you'll be chasing flags all day for sure. I believe there was just a 9-pound walleye caught out of there about two weeks ago, and just last week a 2.5-pound crappie was taken out. So there's some really nice fish in there. It's going to be a little bit different for a lot of guys because it is shallow, so you're going to have to adjust to that. All the panfish are down in the weeds, but the pike, they roam right underneath that ice. So when you're setting your shiners and suckers down, just put them down right under the ice.
I'm stuck back at big crappie.
Yeah, isn't that insane? Yeah, I didn't believe it either until I saw the picture.
Part of the reason that I'm laughing though is because so ever since the first of the year started, Fish Donkey is hosting the Women on Ice, the Ice Queen tournament. I really got to learn the name of this. It just is kind of a long name and I feel really bad, but it's on Fish Donkey. Search Ice Queen. It's easy to find. And I'll tell you what, we got ice, I don't know when in December, but Josh and I were out. We were up by Sibley, down by here. I'm catching crappies all over the place, and I'm telling you what, January 1st hits, and it is like I can only catch a bluegill. So I do have a stringer of panfish in, and I cannot say that it is like anything to scoff at, but I am not finding. So I'll tell you what, I will not be the one this weekend to catch that big crappie, but I sure hope somebody does.
Well, I tell you what, that was just, one fish. There was another fish, I think it was 1.8 that came in a week before that. So they are there.
I don't even know what to say. I just get caught up in that.
If I were you, I would definitely bring my gear and go out there and try for at least a couple hours.
At least, yeah. I'll sit out there all night. One more question. So, Ryan, would you justify Garmin Live Scope for a weekend warrior like myself who only ice fishes, or should I stick with an Ice 35 flasher?
Well, that's a great question. And you might not like my answer, but I'm going to say I can't justify it. No. I had one and I sold it just because I feel like it almost took away from the attention to detail that I like to give when I'm pan fishing. It will help you find the fish. Don't get me wrong, it will, but you still have to catch them, and you can do that with a Vexlar. So for a weekend warrior like yourself, I would say don't spend that money. Spend it on something else.
And then I guess in your opinion, what would that something else be?
I think you can't go wrong with a Vexlar FL28. You don't even need the new 30. I mean, it's got some neat features, but it's still pretty much the same unit, and you're going to be able to do exactly what you want to do with that 28.
There you go. So,
that's just my opinion.
And then if somebody already had a flasher, do you have like another piece of equipment that you'd recommend that's not a flasher? Sorry, I didn't prepare you for any of these questions.
For locating fish or just in general?
Just for anything.
In general.
Like as far as favorite fishing gear, if it wasn't going to be a flasher, what else should they buy?
Well, I tell you, I'm really sold and pleasantly surprised on these new Razor augers. I've used a lot of augers in my time, and I really love that the 6-inch auger from Razor. It beats the cage roll. It beats the Eskimo pistol bit. You know, the Strike Master Strike Flight's pretty good too, but I would say invest in a Razor because they're cost efficient and they get the job done. That's all I'm going to be using from here on out.
Well, that's awesome. Honestly, I didn't expect that answer, so that's kind of an awesome surprise.
So then, what would you spend money on?
If I already had a flasher, honestly, I love my camera. I really, really, really love my camera. Like you were talking about that. There's so much that you can learn from that. But if you're looking for something that's not a big spender kind of thing, we're making whole hopper buckets.
Ooh, yeah.
And I think I would choose another rod. So if you're if you're going out, and especially a panfish application, I always like having two rods. I like having one with a larger presentation and one with a smaller presentation. And especially when you get those fish that come up and they look at it, reel up quick before they leave and throw something small down, because you might be bringing their attention there, and then they're going to sit and look and wonder where that went, and you have just enough time to throw your smaller presentation down. So that's where I would stick a little bit of extra money, is just having a couple different rods rigged up with presentation pre-rigged, so you can just throw them down there.
Yeah.
To piggyback off that a little bit too, when we're basin fishing these crappies, we've got our Sullivan tip downs in the water too with, crappie minnows on them. So when they come up and they're looking at your plastics that you're pounding, sometimes they might not want that, but they see that minnow next to it and they end up hitting that. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
I'll just say I'm partial to having a really good heater because I'm very sensitive to like heat and cold, so I need a really good heater. So Ryan just got the new
it's the Buddy Flex.
Yeah, so which makes me excited because not only do I get to keep warm, we can cook with it, and he can eat beef jerky and chips all day, but like I need a meal out on the ice, so it's like a dual purpose.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Emily has the little electronic hand warmers, and even for me, like when you're in single digits and you're having to clean your line off, it's nice having that little electric heater in your pocket so you can just warm your hand up a little bit. So that's a good point.
Yeah, we talked about those on Ice Wife.
Yeah.
Don't
It's true.
overlook the comforts because it does make fishing better.
No, you got to stay warm because if your feet and your hands go, you're done for the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's absolutely. I'm seeing in the comments, people are saying the toothpick jig remover. So I know that Cold Snap has those, 2 different kinds. I think I've seen a few others kind of on the market, but I cannot recall. There's some pretty small name brands out there. So, find one of those though, because Tim is saying saves a lot of paint on your jigs, and that's absolutely for sure. Love my tweezers, but it does ruin my jigs. And Mark Torbett and Danny are saying power boxes and the Milwaukee powered up Milwaukee. I got to agree. We used our green light the other night. We put it on our power box and then we used the light on it to walk out later that night. So that was a pretty fun thing. Jim, as far as the ice conditions on Clam Lake, dude, you missed it. No, I'm kidding.
Go back from the beginning, Jim.
Rewatch the episode.
Jimmy, there's about 10 to 14 inches out there, more towards the 14 on Clam. Guys are taking ice castles out, big trucks. It's fine. Just use common sense.
Oh.
No sound.
So Jim, you're saying no sound. Just in case it was Ryan that broke up, 10 to 14 inches is what he's saying. So hopefully the sound works itself out. You said cool, sounds like you can hear us now. I'm hearing Jen and Ryan just fine, so hopefully that's fine too. But again, throwing that date out there, January 30th is that meet and greet. And so if people want to go and screenshot the information, where can they find? I know you have a nice little banner.
Yeah, we've got a flyer going on right here. It's on our Facebook
Oh, look
page.
at that.
It should be pinned at the top of our Facebook page. It's got all the info on there. We've also got raffle tickets that we're going to be selling there too. So lots of great stuff happening there. I think I'm excited about everything, the raffles, the live music, but I think what I'm most excited about is seeing all you guys because it's been way too freaking long.
Yeah, we agree.
Yep. Oh my gosh, I was reading last second comments. Needs to be a one-on-one. Okay.
Ooh,
well,
yeah. We can make that work. We should do something and raise some money that way.
Yeah, we'd be up for it.
I'm way into that. So, thank you everyone for your comments because sometimes this spurs some really great ideas. Can't wait to see what we can come up with. We'll definitely talk about it at the meet and greet because that'll be perfect.
Yeah.
But I really can't wait for that. So make sure, go and check out.
The meet and greet.
Yep.
The guide service.
Yep.
And?
I was going to say Ice Junkies Outdoors because they have all the information there.
Right.
Yes, we do.
So, awesome. Well, thank you both so much for being on with us tonight.
Yeah, it was
Thank
great
you.
talking to you guys.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah. We are going to change our screen for a second, so don't leave. I didn't prepare you for that. But hang on a second. We'll get back to you. And thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
So for everybody else, thank you also for being here and spending your Thursday night with us.
Absolutely. We enjoy every minute of it. Your comments are awesome.
That really does crack me up.
Yeah.
And we will see you at the meet and greet. So if you guys have any questions about that, check out Ice Junkies or even get a hold of us because we can certainly point you in the right direction.
Absolutely.
We were talking about some cool products today. If you guys have favorite products, post that in the comments. If you have events coming up, post that in the comments. Would love to share that out with people.
Yep.
And otherwise, we will see you next week, Thursday, for the next edition of The Night Bite.
See you later, guys.